Hey everyone, welcome to the Professor's Podcast. And today we've got a very special guest, which I will be introducing in a minute. But first, let's go ahead and jump into straight away with Howie, the man, the myth, the legend, the professor himself, Howard Tai. Howie, how excited are you about today's guest? But not just that, how excited are you about your second annual PPE event, which at the end of this actual podcast / video, I'm going to reveal the URL that you guys need to go to in order to find out more information for. But Howie, how excited are you about the guest and the second ever annual event? Or I should say biannual event, because it looks like this might be the last live online virtual event, which if you guys didn't attend the last one, you're going to be shocked at the price and the value that the professor and all of his special guests give. So Howie, tell us a little bit more. How pumped are you?
I'm very pumped. Right now, I've actually are gathering all the super elite guest speakers into our podcast, talking and hyping and making sure that everyone knows who's going to be speaking. And one of the person that we chose here right now is Paul Harvey. So that was really exciting that he was able to be a speaker at our PPE 2.0 event.
Right, and I'm super fired up. You know, Howie's not a guy that shows that much emotion. He's not a guy that has many words, but I will tell you this much. I can tell by the look on his face that he is fired up about this guy, and I am too. And let's face it, this guy has a long history of selling on Amazon, of helping sellers sell better on Amazon. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about some of the projects he's working on, as well as what we might expect him to speak about at the actual event. And I, for one, am super fired up because I've used a lot of chatbots. So I know that most of you listening have probably used chatbots. I know Howie has. Howie, how excited are you about this guy and how we can talk about him as evolving the game of chatbots? That's what I've kind of understood. But what things about him stood out to you when you met him, and why of all people did you pick him to speak about chatbots? I know he's an expert, but let's say, you know, everybody out there says they're an expert at chatbots, but I can say this much. Just having a 10-minute conversation with this gentleman earlier, I realized, like, wow, he definitely knows his stuff when it comes to chatbots. But Howie, what stood out about him when you first met him or spoke to him about chatbots?
Well, the community of experts, I mean real experts, not the ones that proclaim that they are experts, but people that we know in the field that really knows their stuff. There's only a handful of them. So we kind of know who we want to speak and who not. So from Paul's side, I've been kind of like following him, seeing what he's been doing, and as well as I believe he was following some of what Anthony's been doing too. So Paul, you want to say anything about how you follow Anthony?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for being here. But I'm a big fan of Anthony. I've known Anthony before I actually met him in person. And what I love about the guy is that anything he publishes, he's transparent. He says, you know what, this is my data. Go ahead and critique me. Here it is. Very transparent, and a level of transparency that only comes with experience. So it's one of the few guys that I can legitimately follow and happily follow. Yeah.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know who Howard is talking about, that is Anthony Lee, who was a speaker at our last actual mastermind. And he's also one of the co-founders of Signalytics, which is a whole other platform. We could have an entire podcast about it. We probably should. But Anthony often publishes white papers that just kind of like Paul said, they show all of his data. He's very transparent. He blew the house down last PPE event when he spoke about external signals from other sources other than Facebook. Now, I don't want to reveal too much, but I am fired up that Anthony will also be speaking at the second annual PPE event, as well as Paul. So, Paul, I know a lot of people don't know a lot of your background. So usually what we like to do is put people on a hot seat, and it's not a big deal, Paul. Don't sweat it or anything. What this is I want you to pretend that you're on an elevator with the professor. This is the first time you've ever met him. You know he's got one of the best Amazon events on the planet, and you're going to give him your best 2-minute elevator pitch as to why you're qualified to speak at his second annual PPE event. So go for it, Paul. You got 2 minutes.
Cool. So pretty much I've sold on Amazon for a good number of years, and the best way for me to pay for my Amazon business was consult. So I allowed myself to consult with other big sellers, and pretty much I became the guy. When you were launching a product, use me because I know what's working. And so much so is that I found a niche in the market that's using chatbots. I love mini chats. I really do but we can do it better. So we created our own platform where we can just launch at scale using chatbots without all the hassle and far, far easier.
Right. And now I know that you said before that you found that ManyChat has a lot of problems, Paul. Without revealing too much, can you tell us what some of the biggest problems, or let's just say the biggest problems that you know Amazon sellers have with ManyChat and how you do it better?
So first of all, I'm a big fan of ManyChat. I really love it, but ManyChat is a jack of all trades. I don't really want a platform that's used by my dentist. It doesn't make sense. So I want a platform that's used for my Amazon business. So all my strategies I've used and I've published, it's into the chatbot. It's there for people to use. So out the box, you can take my rebate flows, absolutely everything we've done in the past. They are tried and tested on one of our flows, our rebate flow in there. We've spent over $25,000 on this flow optimizing it. So it works. So when people sign up, there's no learning curve, plug and play, you're good to go, and it makes life far easier. And also, I love ManyChat, but everyone uses ManyChat. So Amazon's aware of that. ManyChat are sending signals to Amazon that people are using ManyChat. That's a factor. If everyone uses it, it loses its effectiveness.
So, Paul, I want to know, regarding ManyChat, regarding chatbots, what what can you say yourself as the foremost expert in regarding even inside the whole realm of chatbot?
So pretty much, people would lie to you. They say, oh, I use chatbots for everything. No, you don't. People only use chatbots to re-rank and for reviews. That's it. So that's what we doubled down on. So people will say, I can do this and do that, but actually our platform is geared for launches, re-ranking. And if you want to, it's a bit of a grey hat, up to you. If you want to get reviews, and some people get reviews and rebates, completely up to you, your business.
So I think we just talked to you before the show. You're talking about you analyze every single thing that you do when you're doing the ranking and things like that. So can you give us an example of the most recent things maybe that you can?
So for example, one thing we do is that we make sure, and we stand by this, all the traffic we send to your product looks like organic traffic. We don't use super URLs. We tell the customer, we pretty much tell them, here's the keyword, go find it on Amazon. And then we send them the link to the Amazon homepage. Now, when we send them the link to the Amazon homepage, it may originate from Messenger or Pinterest or Google, or whichever. We have our ways around that. So Amazon sees traffic coming not just from Messenger, from different platforms, which means it works really well. And then we follow back with the customers afterwards, say, hey, how did you buy the product? What was the buying process? Please talk me through it. So what they do, and let's say, for example, we gave them the keyword baby blanket. They will say, now this product would be on page maybe 20 for baby blanket. So we tell them, how do you find it? They say, oh, I looked at the image you sent and I typed in baby grow, baby blanket, brand name, and then the keyword. And then what happens is we notice that as soon as customers have a product that's already on page 2, as they find on page 2, they don't do the brand name. They do straight up for the keyword. So what we do, we mimic that traffic. We go back to customers and say, if the product is not on page 1 or 2, we give them the keyword with the brand name. So it would be baby grow, baby blankets, or baby blankets by baby grow. Now that's exact normal buyer behavior. If you go buy a pair of shoes, you type Reebok shoes or shoes by Reebok. So people will say, rebates are gaming the system, the search fund bar. No, you're doing exactly what Amazon expects.
Right. And, Paul, a lot of things that you mentioned are very fascinating to me because I, for one, have been a longtime ManyChat user. So I've constantly used ManyChat and a couple other tools to help rank. But I wanted people to know before I go into the next question, like Paul and I have actually crossed paths back. I think it was 2016. Is that right, Paul? 2016?
Yeah, roughly around there, yeah.
In the UK. And so this guy is legit. He's been doing this kind of stuff since way back then. And we actually met in the UK at an Amazon event. So that just goes to show the level of dedication that we both have to getting better at Amazon. And that's certainly one thing I respect about Paul. So the next question really has piqued my curiosity, Paul. I know you're a man that has many levels of knowledge when it comes to Amazon, but I'm very curious. Have you thought about what 3 to 5 topics you could actually speak about at the PPE that would absolutely blow people's minds?
Yeah, so pretty much, first and foremost, launches and re-ranking. That's the main thing. And then launches and re-ranking with optional how to get reviews out of that with the most TOS kind of way friendly, or maybe not most TOS friendly way. So look at that, and we are showing how to do launches, find the ideal customer, and then repeat all the time. And you can run these ads, you can run these strategies at scale, knowing that you're completely within TOS and how to get reviews according to TOS.
Right. And I know we talked about earlier as well, we talked about how there's a lot of people having problems with ManyChat right now, specifically because they're getting these letters from Amazon that warn them about their review process. So obviously that's a gray hat area, but have you seen any of those yourself from people that you've worked with? And have you heard or seen of anyone suspended?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all is that in my service, we say we do rebates, but we wash our hands of reviews. We don't want to do reviews. As soon as reviews can be locked back to an order, a rebate, then there's a footprint for those bad customers. That's a big deal because let's face it, what does the typical Amazon customer do? When they run a rebate, they then automatically check the Amazon order ID to make sure it's a good product. I want to make sure it's a good order. And then they follow up with that customer to ask for a 5-star review. So Amazon sees traffic coming from Messenger. They see you checking order ID. They then see you, or supposedly, they then see the customer, then leave a 5-star review. All of those are flags for the footprint left by rebates.
Right, and I know one other thing that you mentioned that you have your own special sauce for sort of finding customers and trying to make them a new batch of people. Is that something you actually teach people? Is that something you show them? I know we also talked about sometimes people don't like to do it themselves. They'd rather pay you to do it. But is that part of your whole, what you teach people to do with chatbots?
Absolutely. I'm 100% transparent. What I do really, I put out there, everyone can do it right now. If someone signed up right now as a customer to say chatbot, they get absolutely everything, but maybe they don't want to put it together. That's where our stuff comes in. And also the reason people are now suffering is because Facebook is screwing them hard and they don't realize why. Because when people create their ads on Facebook for their rebate customers, Facebook already sees, ooh, wait a minute, this is a rebate ad, so I know the ideal customer for this. So the Facebook algorithm is then targeting the typical rebate customer, which is low buyer quality, to go buy your product. So Facebook is actually screwing you now because 6 months ago, this wasn't an issue, but now it is.
So is there any other problems that you see in 2020 regarding like ManyChat and other chatbot services that people should worry about?
Basically, the thing is, we all know this. I mean, we've all been in the game for a long period of time. When any one strategy is being abused, it's going to lose its weight. From the time of doing massive discounts or leave a review, all those strategies are now out. So it's going to get harder. Rebates now are not as effective as they were a year ago. So it's going to get tougher. What customers need to realize is that it's not about one strategy. It's about a whole myriad approach where if you're sending a rebate, you make sure the customer is hitting on all the social signals to make sure they come across as an organic customer.
Interesting. Social signals, huh?
Yeah, I knew you would love that one.
Thank you. So for 2020, what kind of opportunity do you see that sellers should follow or to watch out for?
So the new opportunity, when I created Seller Chatbot, or I should say when we created Seller Chatbot, we did it in a frame that we were pissed off with Amazon. Amazon holds all the cards. So we created Seller Chatbots to be the bridge off of Amazon. Now, in our opinion, we can see what Facebook is doing on the back end. Facebook is pushing Messenger hard. They want Messenger to be kind of like the WeChat of the West. So when Facebook finally figures out what they're doing with Messenger, they'll be able to blow it up and get far more subscriber base through Messenger than Amazon can through their base. And then the winner is the person who has the most subscribers and understands Messenger best. And then it opens up Shopify, Etsy, eBay, Walmart. All those platforms will soon open up in Messenger. And the winner there is who has the bigger list on day one.
Right. Amazing. Amazing, Paul. So I'm going to tag you, Paul, as the chatbot encyclopedia. I think you have so much information about chatbots. I think it's all tried, true, and tested. And you've put in a lot of elbow grease to learn all this knowledge, including some of the nuances that there are. And I got to be honest, I don't know how he agrees with me. I think you could just speak about the evolution of chatbots and perhaps what's in store in the future on Amazon for chatbots, anything like that. Howie, what do you think about that?
Well, like for these events that I really put out, I really want these really crazy stuff like that we're going to talk about. That it's not like a presentation outside. We want like mastermind level stuff, So for Paul, I wanted to see what you can bring out to our audience and see what you can make them wow them. So I'm
super excited, Paul, about what you're going to put together here. You've mentioned a lot of great things. But before we sign off here, we've already talked a lot about chatbots. We know, for one, the chatbots were very effective a year back. Now they're getting somewhat harder, and we know that the road for chatbots is perhaps unknown, and a lot of people have been getting warning signs for the chatbots. But there also is this huge amount of traffic outside of Facebook, of how he calls it, social signals. Is there anything that you guys are doing to try and incorporate some of that with your kind of next generation of ManyChat, or your Amazon version of ManyChat, in order to make it a little bit more organic?
Absolutely. So I'll call out Howard here because we are testing his strategies in the sense that we have data where we are hitting on our version of social signals. So I'm very excited to share stuff with you and see how effective we have with that data as opposed to Howard stuff. So Howard, it's on.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Howie's got some pretty good ideas there, and I'm happy to see that you're testing them out and putting them into the chatbot. Howie, any last words from you before we kind of wrap it up with Paul? I think he's kind of put everything together in a nutshell. We know that he's probably got some really good data that he's going to be able to share with people. But any last words from you, Howie?
Well, only the best. I want to see kind of what kind of data you have there. So I would say that let's see what you can bring on with the data that you have regarding to what works and what doesn't work. So from what I just talked to him, things that we do, social signals and things that we're working on are kind of like the state of the art stuff. So it's kind of like the norm of the how much giveaway you're supposed to give away for a keyword. We probably can probably say that with analyzing it, that we can actually do like 40 or 50% less than what the industry standard of the giveaways. So do you agree, Paul?
Absolutely. And that's the thing though, is that we all think we know like what is the best KPI, what's the best metric, how many giveaways to do per day, but few people have data to back it up. So I'm looking forward to going through that.
Right. And my last question for you, Paul, is what's the actual service that you have called? We haven't even touched on that yet.
So basically, thanks for that. So basically, I'll run Stellar Chatbot, just Stellar Chatbot, stellarchatbot.com, and go through there. And also is that if you feeling like you don't want to do it yourself, if you want a service that will do the ranking for you, it's Stellar Chatbot, then Rankster, Rankster, Rankster.
Awesome. Amazing. And I know you've shared a lot of great information. I look forward to your talk. I know a lot of people probably look forward to your talk. And any final words from you, Paul, before I give people the URL to be able to attend the second annual ever Professors PPE event?
So it's the same advice I've been given to everyone for literally every presentation for the past few years. Today is the best day to learn about chatbots. Even if you don't want to learn about it, just understand how they can be used and understand your competitors are using them in good and bad ways. So make sure do it now. It's only a way to benefit you in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that we did not touch upon. I don't know if Howie remembers when we were in Mexico last time, there was an attendee that talked about how a malicious seller, used the chatbot to do giveaways for his product, made people buy the product, and then never reimbursed them, which resulted in him getting a huge amount of negative reviews. Do you remember that gentleman, Howie?
I don't remember who it was, but I remember the topic that you're talking about. Someone that he was trying to get a lot of bad reviews, into trouble, right?
Same thing happened to one of my clients, exact same thing. And what they did is that the bad competitor actually then led some one-star reviews, got my clients kicked off Amazon for a while because of that. So when I found that out, what the competitor actually did was he went through his chatbot flows and then copied the chatbot flow. And then once his competitor was kicked off, then ran his own chatbot flows. And unfortunately, I was really upset. So then I said, great. I used my whole team, and what we did then is that we got his Facebook ad shut down. He can no longer run Facebook ads. He lost his brand page, everything, and that was 2-3 years in the making. That really hurt him deep. And then to make matters worse, we did some nefarious things to his listing to kind of even the sales that he took from us.
Right, and that's exactly what happened to one of our actual people in our mastermind. I'll have to let you know his name later, Howie. I don't want to reveal his name, but I clearly remember we talked about all that. And I think that people should be well informed, and I'm sure Paul will inform us about the malicious things that sellers can do, because I think it's just as important to know all the positive things that you can do with it, but also the things that you can fall victim to and what to be aware of, as well as how to counteract measures and how to be able to protect yourself. Because I will say this much, as alarming as this might be to some of us, there are people that have too much time on their hands and that are complete jerks and will do anything it takes to win on the game of Amazon. Like, there's a lot of people out there doing that. So we definitely will probably have a chat about that. So thank you so much, Paul, for telling us all that information, giving us a rundown of what your area of expertise is. I, for one, am super fired up for your talk. And I know Howie is too, especially the social signal and the other external traffic other than Facebook that we could send to our actual listing. But to find out more about the professor's second annual PPE event, you want to go over to howardtai.com/PPE2. So again, that's howardtai.com/PPE.2, which is going to take place November 9th and 10th, virtually online. So like I like to tell people, you don't have to show up. You don't even have to show your face if you don't want to. You can be in your underwear. You can be hitting the vodka early in the morning. You can be hitting the mimosas. We're not going to make any judgment upon you. Some of us might join you, but we won't know. It'll be virtual. You won't have to leave your own home, so you'll be safe. No worries about coronavirus, no worries about spreading that, but you will learn strategies and tactics from 8 to 9 figure sellers or people that have consulted with 8 to 9 figure sellers. And I will say this much, on the last one, I took a ton of strategies and implemented them, and they were extremely successful, including some of the PPC tactics, as well as brand new ways to give away your product. And there was a $50 million seller that is backed by popular demand. So we have a couple of returning people speaking, including the $50 million seller and Anthony Lee, which Paul mentioned is amazing. He gives amazing data, amazing information, and I'm sure he's going to have some really good stuff. Howie, how fired up are you? Again, I can't stop saying it. How excited are you for that event? And who do you look most forward to other than Paul in terms of speaking at that event?
I think I said it last podcast. I'm still pretty excited to have one of my friend and close friend and also a client of ours that are doing $35 million with 3 people. So that's what I'm actually excited to have him talk about his thing, what he does to get that $35 million with 3 people.
Right, and I did want to say this much about him. He actually won the first ever Smartest Marketer contest, and the strategy that he gave was just off the chain. Like, it was seriously just mind-blowing. So I look forward to see what he's going to talk about. As I said, he won that first event ever, the Smartest Marketer, and so this time he's coming back as a speaker. So again, if you want to find out more information, head on over to howardtai.com/PPE. Other than that, that is on November 9th and 10th. We look forward to seeing all you guys, and we look forward to seeing what each and every one of these hand-picked experts have to say at that event. So I'm going to sign off here on behalf of Howie and Paul. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next podcast.